All right, we should now be live. Cool. I'll hopefully, yeah, I mean, this being the most recent stream, then hopefully I've got all the other VODs up from last weekend and then this week. That would be rad. Like I said before, I think we're gonna have to have like a little, like a warning on the other VODs. I haven't checked them out yet, but I've got the feeling there's plenty of downtime when I was just watching what was going on during the playtest and also listening to the team react to stuff and figure things out in Slack. So probably plenty of dead air in those, but I'll get them posted anyway. I'll just put a disclaimer on it. Today we're probably just gonna sit around a fair bit and chill. I don't know. It's been one of those weeks after the stress test that we've just been sort of catching up on things and getting a little bit of breather. Chinny D, Sakaj, Captain Caldwell, Minute Bryce, Chaz, Pattis, Talit. What up, everybody? Ooh. Happy Cinco de Mayo to you as well. I'll go ahead and hit play for now. There's no reason not to. Need to... Patterson, need to... I probably will do a little bit of like... going into Sungreed Strand soon and Deep Dunes and just kind of doing a little bit of blocking out and messing with stuff. I'll probably hop on that in the next week or so. Just kind of poke at things and see if any of that winds up helping you later on. So it's very random, but I was just thinking about it. Hey, Norden, Coding Caffeine, Quicksana. What's up, Justin? Nano. Ahoy, ahoy, guten Abend. Ginny D asks, something I thought of during the stress test, do you want the team to have the game dev chat badge for visiting other streams? I'm unsure of what you mean. Yeah, Pattis, we're also putting together the stuff for Telekir. So honestly, if you've got the time next week, you know, if your schedule opens up next week, then I think the thing we'll probably be doing is just like really going hard and heavy on Telekir. And if there's any, you know, if there's breathing room or whatever, then we can also knock out some of the other stuff. But we also want to get with you and Simon and kind of see how you guys are thinking in terms of delegation of effort. And see if you guys can also maybe put some estimates on some things, like in terms of, hey, if we wanted to do this in this zone, how long do you think, or what would you time box those changes for, etc. So we can just kind of plan some stuff. Lifewater, thank you for the follow. I thought, oh, I see you in Discord all the time, not in here. Okay. Yeah, we've got to update some of that stuff, Pattis, but I mean, it should be relatively on the right track. Nano said, gotta say backpacks look real good. Cool, thank you. Not sure how I'm subbed and not followed. Oh, interesting. Like I was like, I know the name. I assumed you'd been in here. It's funny, I forgot that we had taken the mesas out of this zone. So they kind of, it's weird. It looks a little empty without the old mesas. Twitch has global chat badges for game devs. If you add the company in their dev portal. You can set all users in it to any channel you enter. There'll be a little controller badge next to your name. Oh, that's a interesting fun fact. Let me I didn't know that. So
33, like the tons of gray hairs y'all gave me.
33. That's a lot of months, Ollie. I'm pretty sure we've given you 0 gray hairs so far. There's been 0 stress on this project. Shinny D, let me add this to my list of things to do. Twitch. Twitch game dev batch. Game dev portal. You sent the Twitch links for that in Discord? Oh, thank you. Even easier. Yeah, guys, don't get us wrong, like we're actually it's a lot of fun to have you guys in and playing the game. So we definitely want to facilitate that as quickly as possible, and we already miss you guys in game as well. So yeah, stress test was honestly a lot of fun for us. Stressful, but it was a lot of fun. And trust me, we're jonesing to have you guys in game as well. You know, it would be fantastic if we were at a place where we could just go, right? Because we're working on the game every day either way. You know, I'm excited for when it goes live, but you know, unfortunately, if we let you in, if we just like open the doors today, you run through everything and be bored in too short a period of time. So Fielder EQ, thank you for the follow. Quicksana said it already felt like the community brewing in game from 2 short days. Yeah, it was very cool to see you guys playing like players. I was watching a couple more of the videos that folks have made, and it's cool seeing all the corpses everywhere. Yeah, so we're gonna keep on it and see how quickly we can get this, you know, get it to a point where we can at least like hit a few, you know, little couple hours here and there playtests, you know. Nerdy Squid said it was awesome. Everybody sharing quest info and stuff. Exactly. Yeah. Did you see? Was it Reb Chumley has made a really nice looking wiki? I'm not sure what the status is in terms of submissions and stuff, but it exists. It looks like one of our favorite wikis, and so if you guys have figured some stuff out during those brief 12 hours last weekend, feel free to add it. Or if you've just seen stuff on the videos, I think we've blabbed enough on the various playtest videos. Or sorry, the live streams that you should be able to start filling in some blanks with them. That's the fun of a wiki. You can always update it as you go. I suppose folks could just sit around a campfire importing songs for their bards to play, which, is, by the way, is an actual feature from another MMO. Wink. Yeah. Give us time. Yeah, so the information for the wiki is in Discord. If you guys haven't been to our Discord, but most of you are locals, right? You're our regulars. Here's our Discord. Hey, Esan, what's up, buddies? our giant ogre stomping around. Our giant placeholder. Dude, the concept art for the giants looks really dope, so it'll be exciting to get those guys in. Yeah, tonight, I mean, I'm only going to stream a couple hours. It's Friday. Sorry, we had to move yesterday's stream, but sometimes it's hard to align schedules, and yesterday was just something seems odd in here. For some reason, the zone seems brighter, more washed out. Is that my monitor? Hey, Beer Chug. Golden Gloves. Ventali. Skyline, City Line looks good at night from the dunes. Yeah. Hadis did a great job of putting this facade up. BB Grill. Why does that sound familiar? What? Do I know that name from Discord? YouTube? Sounds familiar. Sounds familiar. Maybe it's just the angle I'm looking at the screen? Oh yeah, it is way brighter from this angle. Okay, that's what's going on. The Crone? Thank you for the Prime. Friday off work early, a cigar, beer, and M&M. Well, that sounds nice. It's 8:22 p.m. here, and I'm with you guys. So no cigar, no beer. Just some atmosphere. Little M&M atmosphere and catching up with you guys. Like I said, we've just been doing a lot of catching up and breathing, and just kind of looking at the results of the stress test, talking about some stuff. Ooh, is that the new Slither? Is that the new Anim? Yeah, that's nicer than the wiggle tube animation I'd put in a while back. I just had a wiggly tube. Fairly certain we were using the placeholder that I put in. Gummy bears? Man, I just brushed my teeth. I might avoid eating the candy tonight before bed. Probably good for me. Hey, what's up, Tom? Blickstev. Which was the most popular race class combo selected for the stress test? If I had to guess, human. And then we've got an infographic that we'll put out. Necromancer. Human necromancer, right, Ollie? The Crone said, played a bit during the stress test. Looks great so far. Any plans to release a world map or breakdown of anticipated zone layout, etc.? Later on, a bit further in development. We're knocking the dust off of some of that stuff right now. Actually, this morning, it was early morning. Yeah, it was very early for the Americans, but it was kind of morning, afternoon for me here in Germany. And one of the topics was world map. Sort of refreshing that conversation, looking at anticipated zone layout, and talking about a little bit like how do we think we're going to divide this up? What's the approach going to be? And then getting a little bit into refreshing the lore. Turkan. Wie geht's, mein Freund? Ali said that we've got the stats in, so basically some of the stats from the stress test are posted in our Discord, in the channel Eminem patch notes. So go check it out there. Looks to have said, Nada just prepping for next week. Brooke graduates medical school and gets her MD. Wow. Time flies. She's heading to California for a residency. Right on, dude. That's wild. Tom, back in the day when you were playing, like playing WoW hardcore, you had some like ridiculous rank, didn't you? Like your PvP rank was not normal, especially for someone maintaining a full-time job. What was the deal with that again? And this is something I can, we can talk about if we ever get you on for like a old EQ/developer interview. But I'm trying, I've told a story, but I want to make sure that I'm telling it right. Let's see. Golden Glove said, wow, 3 people made it to level 6. Yeah, they went hard. And Nerdy Squid said, made it to level 2. Spent much of my time trying to figure out road quests. Well, hopefully what you figured out was enjoyable enough, Nerdy Squid. Tom said, well, and I'm saying Tom, but Thomas, you're not one of those Thomases that wants to always be Thomas and not Tom. I forget. There were a few of you that I've worked with that like were full name dudes. Sorry if I keep saying Tom. If you're a Thomas and not a Tom, just realize that we all just call you Tom behind your back. Or Blair. Okay, Blair. So Blickstep said, yeah, I hit rank 14 2 times in Vanilla WoW. Both a Grand Marshal and High Warlord. Took me 8 months. Yeah, I just remember it being like a ridiculous amount of effort that you were putting in there. I could have, was it your guild? I remember playing with a number of the developers that were like SOE and relative developers where I popped in and went on a few raids with, it was like Wrath of the Lich King era. And it was just like, hey, yeah, so that we can check out some of the raids and stuff. And I was like, I was always the guy that was like standing in fire and shit. Yeah, I was just like, oh my God. Oh, this is too much coordination and actual paying attention to the game for my... I think a lot of times too, the problem was I was like sitting on my laptop, to be honest. I wasn't even in my office. I was like sitting on my laptop, watching TV in the background as I do. One of my favorite things to do in MMOs is just like watch other shit while slowly grinding on stuff. It was a bit intense. Golden Glove said, yeah, most of my playtime was running around everywhere, to everywhere as possible, taking screenshots. Oh, that's awesome. Nerdy Squid said the road quest was a good time, especially once I figured out the mud command stuff. Cool. Cool. Yeah, we're going to do some things to make it, because there's a lot of like little nuances and commands and stuff. We're definitely going to be focusing before release on, and probably even future playtests, on making it so that it's, you folks have had some time to like play with and practice and understand the various commands and stuff. Bad Wolf said, I was trying to find the guild hall by the harbor, then spent an hour showing others. LOL, it was fun enough. Or it was fun though, sorry. Fun enough. I was like, oh, it was fun enough. No, it was fun though. Good, I'm glad you had fun. Captain Caldwell made it to level 5. Zenfar said, it takes 10 hours a day of grinding to get that. Yeah, well, Blixtev made the time for it. I don't think he sleeps. Tame Nova said, rank 14, 13 like that in vanilla was extremely rare. I only knew a couple people who did that back then. The very hardcore group of players, and they did not have jobs. Well, in all fairness, I think Blixtev's job probably gave him some time to do it on the clock. I forget exactly where we were at with various projects at the time. Crone says, will be great to see the world map come into shape. Any ideas on number of zones? EQ obviously released with a larger number. Classic, Kunark, Velis, etc. And then as expansions went on, there seemed to be less and less. New MMOs as well seem to focus on fewer zones rather than large number of different zones. Much prefer the variety. The variety is very nice, right? But the thing that we're looking at is the variety is nice, but we're still really getting a good understanding of kind of the logistics behind how much of an investment it takes us to make each distinct like biome. Right, because every biome is a new texture set to some degree and potentially new objects or modification to objects. So like going from desert to forest to swamp or whatever winds up, being some new stuff. And so we're going to be figuring that out with Pattis and Simon, and also the character guys are chipping in. So it's something we'll be looking at. As well, and it may be something BGFX helps us with on textures as well. I'm not sure. So as we develop a better understanding of really in working with the art guys, like how long we think it takes to make the kind of zones that we're making, then we'll have that as a running number in the background when we're thinking about, all right, how much variety realistically can we get before launch? Or going live, and then how much of the world is that going to entail? We're a smaller project. We don't want to disappear for like a couple years and kind of go dark and like, even if we had the potential of like, hey, here's a bag of cash and we can expand the team or utilize outsourcing or whatever. We don't want to go dark for a long time and then come back and go, hey, there's even more. So one plan that we've discussed, and we'll figure out if it's the right approach, is we may do a few biomes that are a portion of the world that we're thinking of, but not the full thing, to help us, get to a point where we feel like we're actually able to roll into live operations, and then we'll grow the world as part of live operations instead of doing just entirely new shit for an expansion or whatever. It's one thing that we've been, contemplating. Don't know, nothing for sure. But the things that we want to get right are definitely enough variety, also the right scale of the world, right? So yeah, so it's just going to be a process. I mean, keep coming back throughout this year, and we'll be developing a better and better idea. And then that doesn't preclude us from showing the map. If we've mapped things out and we're kind of confident, if anything, we might be able to kind of show the map and go, hey, here's the map as we understand it. And here's kind of where we're at, and here's how we're sort of approaching it. And it may be that it's possible that we are able to go live at some point in the future before we've even got the full map complete. And then we can basically use that as like our roadmap, right? Like, pun intended. We can say, hey, we've got this and this and this, and then the next thing we want to do is this area, and then a few months from now we're going to do this next area or whatever. By the end of the year, this other area, and if that includes the city of one of your favorite races, you may be pretty amped, like, oh, 6 months, whatever. So we'll see. And then the goal really isn't to just always have the map growing bigger and bigger and bigger, but really put more and more content into that existing world and really make it deeper, both figuratively and literally, and go from there. So that's my long answer to your question. Blickstep said next week's all about Brooke, but how about the week after for an interview? Yeah, let's basically, if you can find, let's talk in DMs. I don't know if we have in Discord, Blickstep, but let's sync up and then figure something out and let's do it. Night Harbor Tour Guide is a playstyle for sure, Whitechapel, and it's very helpful. DeCrow, BB, Odin Logics, and Fatty Dad, thank you for the follows. Captain Caldwell said, I've noticed that a lot of MMOs get a solid month's worth of gameplay into the game and then add content each month or so. It really, I think it's got to depend on the MMO's level of comfort with how fast they can deliver new stuff. So if for example, some MMO went live and they only had a month's worth of content, then I would hope that they're already testing the stuff that's coming after that month and maybe even after that, right? Like you've got to have it in the hopper so that it's always rolling out. I've worked on teams that had like weekly cadence for live updates. Oh man, you're actually seen on the camera, Jasmine. You don't realize this though. Look, the camera is such a weird angle. She just crawled around behind the chair to the bag of candy I have stashed over here and was caught on camera. Embarrassed? You're very red now. That's such a big smile. You're so red right now. Like I've got to watch the VOD and see how much of your head was actually just sort of bouncing along like a little Muppet, candy stealing Muppet. Oh my god, that candy smells so good. Why'd she do this to me? Oh my gosh, that's so good. Oh man. All right, it's gonna make me so gassy, and it's so bad for me. But the crone said, that sounds awesome. Definitely understand leaving some areas unexplored instead of always magically discovering new continents. Oh, what's over here? A new continent. Like old school EQ map had many areas that weren't in the game that always made you wonder what their plans were for the... When I was on the team, that was such a interesting prospect. Like, Rujarkian Hills and Takashi's and all that stuff. Broken Skull Rock. Wasn't that it? The island that we did for Legacy of Akesha. But yeah, so... yeah, we'll have plenty of hooks and stuff in for that type of thing in the future as well. VidSnap says, I'm more excited about this game than I was for EQ before it eventually launched. If I don't get to play it soon, I'm going to lose my mind. Don't lose your mind. That's not good. Ali, if you were here, I would give you some candy. Gotta level up Sneak a little bit more. Yeah. Yeah. DeCrow said, good ninja skills though. I didn't notice until you called her out. Yeah, I've got to watch the VOD. I didn't really notice her on camera until after all that. Do we get a weekend playtest to celebrate Cinco de Mayo? April, that's a good try. You never know with Ollie. Yep, roadmaps are definitely helpful. We'll be improving ours. We got some stuff posted on the website. If you go to the FAQ, you'll find a link. But we'll definitely continue to expand on the clarity of that. This Taco Bell commercial is so bad. Where do they get this music? Oh, on the way in, I was like, are you calling me a Taco Bell commercial? That should be me, Mr. Blair. Yep, I see a message up there. Message request. I got messages from you and Chinny D. Cool. Wasn't that adjacent to, was it Stonebrunt Mountains? Gossa? Rujarkian Hills? I forget. I'd have to look at a map. BitSnap, thank you for the Prime. You guys have been really generous this month. Thank you. Been very generous this month. The money's all gonna go to our IP lawyer. Order another little something. All right, so there was a question that we answered already about what was the most popular class. Well, you said race class, but Ollie gave class. I'm just going to assume human necro. Curious. Was there anything else that, like, did anything else sort of stand out, or, excuse me, was a question from the playtest? Ooh. Cave Almond. Let me look and see this real quick. Humans are always the most played by a long shot. I'm watching this clip really fast. Oh, there she is. Oh, there she is. Sneaky snacker. Let me save that in another tab. It's because halflings aren't out yet? I mean, we'll see. We'll see. But historically humans have always been the most played in my experience. And then when we did the survey a while back, which we've got a much bigger audience now, so maybe we'll run that survey again. So our mailing list is like 3 times bigger than the original survey that we did, or 3.5 times. I think we're at like 3,500 people on the mailing list. So the crone said, I ran into a shadow near the ruins by what I believe was a dungeon entrance. Needed to say by the time I noticed them, it was already too late. Yeah, they'll definitely get you. Sakaj said, nice to see a comparison of the first and second survey results. Yeah, that would actually be a worthwhile exercise. And I mean, we could run it again just with the understanding that you guys don't have much more. I mean, you've got a bit more information on the races and classes than before, but still, it's not like you've got the final information. So I'm a gnome fan, the crow said. My older brother introduced me to EQ and he played a gnome magician, so I wanted to start in Steamfont Mountains where he was. Steamfont was no joke. I started a gnome necro on P99 a while back, and then Nick eventually met up with me. I think he's playing a cleric. And man, I got my ass handed to me repeatedly in Steamfont until he got there. And then we still had like definitely had some sketchy encounters. That's a really fun newbie zone. I would make a quick survey here and let you guys do a quick survey on races, but there's so many of them. I don't even know if the survey gives me that many options in Twitch. Cleric and Fighter are what I play. They look legit. Right on, Justin. Hey, Zukin. Are some class races restricted? They are, Vitsnap. There are some posts on our Discord that have the actual like combos that we've been contemplating posted. Let me see. Let me tell YouTube that I'm still watching. I'm listening to our soundtrack. Did we kill neither? Druid Ring should have been a good spot to kill early on. We hit the edges until like hit the edges and went to the windmills. And there's like the random like roaming kobold shaman. Isn't there the female troll that goes around? There are a couple things that would just like come out of the blue and flatten you. This new song slaps. Yeah, UK rats. I think this is is this the trainer song? The trainer music? Yep, skill trainer music from Robert. Okay, Valman said, I hear people talking about exploring the wonderful sights, and there I was spending half of my playtest time in a dark cellar trying to get through the Pally intro quest. Well, just think, you're going to have all that excitement the next time you get in. Early on, you kill it to Druid Ring until 2 and 3, and then the Kobold Camps till 5, and then the Windmill. So I don't know. Now, when we were playing, we played some other gnomes, I thought. Or, no, maybe it was just when we had some other gnomes to play with. We hit the Kobold Camps for a while, and then the Windmill. But at the lower levels, I don't remember. It's when you go out of Akanon and then around to the right, and there's like the various huts and stuff, and there's another kobold camp on the way, and then eventually like you do the dragon skeleton as well. Lifewater said, based on what you said earlier, it kind of sounds like you want to try to release in a year or two. Yeah, our preference would be to be able to release sooner rather than later. The Crone asked above, plans for an XR type race. Zukin is in love with all things lizard person, and somebody on the YouTube videos mentioned turtle, like the turtle race. I mentioned to Zukin that I thought turtles are really cool. So it's an eventuality. I think it's just an eventuality. I love turtles. Yeah, Chinny. I love turtles. "14 tracks on a soundtrack playlist. That's awesome." All right, so when we stream again next Tuesday, hey Tikan, stream again next Tuesday. I'll probably be doing some actual work. But this week is a nice, relaxing, catching him with you guys kind of stream atmosphere, since there's a lot to talk about. Turtle races take a long time. Schmonite, I see what you did there. Will the race of the deep be implemented? Looks like it has an octopus head. Nope, no octopus heads. There's some concepts when we first met Goblin. He had done some concepts, and there was a octopus head kind of thing going on. Zukin said lizards or we riot. Yeah. I know I've been... I don't even know what I was about to say there. Fuck. Deep dwarves in the concept art look amazing, by the way. Deep dwarf monk kicks look powerful. Did we? I don't think there's a deep dwarf monk in the combo. For some reason, I don't imagine deep dwarf monk. I don't remember that being in there. But they do look dope. It's funny how many folks like the deep dwarves. Not funny, but I think it's an interesting sign. Cypher says, really enjoyed 12 hours of stress test last weekend. I played a gnome necro. The whole time was fun and very stress testy. Did it eventually stabilize for you? Were you able to play a little bit? The folks that stuck around for the later hours of the various sessions seemed to get a little bit more stability. Excuse me. Hey, Dark Inside. What in the world? Why did that open? Yeah, so it eased up a bit as people moved around, as the other servers came online. Plus, Ali had introduced some changes as well in real time that helped. So that was nice. And honestly, you know, like having 250 players or so in a zone and having it be smooth it's not bad. We're in a good spot even before these further optimizations and stuff get put in. So that's that was really nice to see. Lifewater said, I need to give Necro a try next test. I'm really enjoying my P99 Necro leveling process. Right on. Yeah, I've played our Necros a bit, and also the same on P99 and a little bit on live. Sun's coming up. So here's a weird thing that happened earlier today. I was watching a video of the stress test. Turkan put a video together about the stress test in German. He is actually one of my garden neighbors. Like if you follow my personal Discord, I post pictures of garden and stuff like that in there and talk gardening. So he's one of my wonderful garden neighbors, and he had posted a video, and I was checking it out, and the video takes place during the day, and it was just running around through the stress test during the day, and it hit me for a moment, and I was like, "Oh, this is so weird," because I'm seeing people running around, and everybody's out, and it's daytime and running through Night Harbor. And it was just so upbeat and bright and stuff, but it was like 2:30 in the morning my time when the stress test kicked off. So when I had been thinking about the stress test, it started at 2:30 in the morning. The Friday one for you guys, Friday is Saturday, like 2:30 for me. And then the Saturday one kicked off at like 7 p.m. for me. So I was associating the entirety of the stress test with nighttime, basically, like with darkness. And I was so baffled to see people running around in the daylight. And it didn't even register to me like how many day-night cycles had actually transpired during the stress test. But because it was late here, early here, and then wound up being running late here, I just associated with night. But for whatever reason, it made me so happy to see everybody running around in the daytime and having a good time. I was like, oh, yeah, I don't know. Weird. It's weird how your brain processes like virtual world memories. Sunrises, sunsets look so good. Yeah, if you go back and watch, if you watch the retrospective video, which is on our YouTube like landing page, in the first few minutes of the video, you'll actually see the sunrise and sunset and like us talking about it. And so that was one of those like first things we did where it was like, hey, this is, the very first tests we did were lighting tests. Like we're a very gameplay focused team. That's why we ran around with like the placeholder zone and the capsules and all of that shit. Like we're extremely gameplay focused and just like getting the tech set up and it's like we're not trying to bullshit with fidelity or just like push everything away to kind of be like, hey, look at the pretty, right? But we knew that in order to do the old school look and have it really resonate, lighting and stuff like that would be a big deal. Will weather have an effect on anything aside from visibility? It can, because we have an understanding of when that stuff's being triggered. So when it rains, we can trigger events or change spawns and stuff like that. So one of the things that we've been talking about, which I'm excited to see, is like having a dust storm and then having like dust dervish NPCs and stuff spawn and be in that, right? We could have like a certain type of like really nefarious kind of dust storm or whatever, and maybe there's an increase in like certain types of skeletons pop up or whatever. We can, that type of shit in the way that our systems work is relatively easy to set up and drive. So Cypher, in relation to the sort of stability and stuff, topic early on was or not early on, that we were talking about a minute ago, was saying I guess there'll be different starting cities, which will relieve the influx of lag. Yeah, that can definitely help when they're different starting locations. So there's definitely a number of other things that we'll be implementing or utilizing to help with the influx before we go live. Wasn't it a 1 hour rotation for daylight? No, it's 72 minutes. A couple people suggested, I think in Discord and maybe on the videos, wouldn't it be great if sunrise and sunset were a little bit longer? And definitely think that would be a cool thing to experiment with. make them kind of unnaturally long relative to the rest of the cycle. But we would have to play around with that a little bit. Excuse me. Yeah, Turrican, it was very early on our side of the world. Quicksana said, wow, stuff like that sounds cool. And the thing is, it's just data for the most part. Like, the hardest part will be making the weather effect. And so the rest of it, right? Like, we make the art, and the rest is just, it's all data driven, and our the way that we drive data in our systems is pretty straightforward. It's pretty easy. I mean, essentially, with just inputting it in, we can set it up as a trigger, and then easily just link spawns to the trigger. So it felt like night was much longer than daytime. That's just how night is when you're scared. Don't be scared. The crone said, can you explain the thought process behind a dungeon/raid on the team? I know it's already in development, but how do you all sit down and flesh those out? Do you keep camps in mind, build around certain boss? Do you think the overall feel of the team is in terms of how they want dungeons to operate? More like open world, or like EQ, or instance like WoW? Dungeons will be open. So working backwards, dungeons will be open. The way that we do dungeons design so far, I mean, we're working on our second one now, so it's not like I can say the way that we've done all of our dungeons. We don't have that many, all right? But the approach that we take is not much different than I've seen on the other teams that I've been on, which is essentially we come up with an overall theme. We come up with some descriptions of points of interest. If we have relative position of the points of interest in mind, then we can describe that a little bit, like in documentation. So for Fallen Watch, we've got a little bit more sort of like these are the positions of the points of interest relative to each other. Going into the Ashira dungeon that's coming up. We've got the ideas for it, but we've kind of started mapping out a little bit. Honestly, we're fortunate that pretty much everybody on the team is just somebody that's played the shit out of MMOs, and so it's easy for us to speak kind of a common language, and it's easy for us to like go to Pattis and go, hey, here's some ideas, and Pattis understands dungeon flow, and I think he's pulled enough in his lifetime to get it. And then we just kind of look at as he's roughing stuff out, we give feedback, and just back and forth. Most stuff we do is just very back and forth process. In a lot of it's either async, so there's kind of notes as we go. Asynchronous is just like typing to each other in Slack, and then we hop into huddles and stuff. And in Slack huddles, you can also draw on the screen. So if you go back and watch like the video with Hamad, when we were all sitting there doing like Night Harbor, search the videos for like Night Harbor or whatever. Man, my nose just started itching really bad. Sorry. So if you look at that, you can see us talking and drawing on the screen and stuff. Hey, Brown Butcher. Thanks for the follow, Jason. Does that make sense? Must be the cats at your house? Yeah, that's what's getting me. Chase them away from your monitor. No, seriously, it does kind of feel like cat hair in my nose or something all of a sudden. Ah. Ugh. Mustang Spy said, missed the stress test. How'd it go? It went really well. It went really, really well. There's some videos and stuff out, but from our perspective, it went really well. And with Pattis streaming as he works and stuff as well, if you guys follow like the guys on the team, if you go in, and I think you can set yourself up for notifications in our Discord. Either set the notifications or watch for the notification when the team's streaming. But we've got a number of the team streaming now, and so you can watch Pattis and Zukin and Goblin and VGFX streaming. And so, if you're interested in the dungeon creation process, he's going to be working on some stuff, and he can kind of fill you in on how he thinks. Everything we do is really back and forth. Like we really don't sit down with like some master design document that, has a full map and everything must be here, here, and here, and this is going to be here, and blah, blah. It's very much, we'll have some stuff where we've got stronger opinions than others about what should be where. And then we just kind of iterate. Because what I found in like my entire career is in doing this type of stuff is, as long as you're maintaining good communication between like design and art, the artist will have ideas and be like, what about this? And they throw some shit in that you weren't expecting. And you're like, oh, wow, that's really cool. You know what? I'm going to do this instead or whatever. There was no idea for a fight club in this one, compound that we have in Night Harbor. Pattis was like, I think this, we should probably put a fight club under here. And it was like, oh, wow, that's actually really cool. All right, cool. Let's do it. Right. So Simon Ballou, he puts his interesting tunnels into there's this prominent structure and you don't know by looking at it, but then you go down, there's tunnels and it goes to like secret areas and all this shit. It's like, no one asked for that, but now that he's done it, it was like, oh yeah. And he was like, oh, I thought it would be cool if it was these types of, NPCs and blah, blah, blah. I was like, oh shit, that's really cool. So I haven't even made the fight club yet and we're already breaking the rules. Pessimistic squid, yeah. Sorry. But you guys don't tell anybody else. Image, thank you for the follow. It'll be our secret. Your beak is sealed. Thank you. He did make the fight. Yeah, he did make it. I mean, there's no fighting in it yet, but it's in there. Life Water asked the question about will you be implementing horizontal progression like AA points? That's a good question for later. I can tell you we've got no like firm plans at the moment, but that doesn't preclude it from happening or whatever. Come in here. Cool. Yeah, so next week I'll probably start bouncing around a little bit between some additional content work and like bug fixes and things of that nature. But then we'll also probably jump in a couple zones and take it back to the old school when I used to play around in Pro Builder. And probably poke around at this area over here, Sungreet Strand. And probably Deep Dunes, the underground area that, if you watch Super Bits and Bob's video, he wound up like finding his way down in there and was like, oh, this is amazing. Unfortunately, it's very hard to get out of right now, so. Pessimistic Squid said, so excited to watch development of this. One of my buddies from playing EQ back in the 90s turned me onto it. Oh, well, thank him for us. That's pretty badass. We like the idea of folks getting their friends into this. It's the way to do it. Good people letting other good people know about the game is a decent way to build a cool community. Puddle Stomper said that was fun watching his adventure down there. Yeah, I thought it was just such a fantastic video. So one of the things that stood out to me in a few of the videos was just, and you guys tell me what you think about like this, whether or not it seems accurate or not. And hopefully it doesn't sound weird, coming from somebody on the team saying it, but it was something that when I watched it kind of stood out. Was a number of the videos were talking about just the feel of things that they were playing at the time in a way where it was like, listening to the music and looking at, the day-night cycle and just kind of running around the city and all this stuff. It felt like there were a lot of comments about like the feel of the game. And, when things stabilized and it was a little bit less laggy later on and people could play and, they're fighting and just leaving corpses everywhere and all that stuff. One of the things that I thought I perceived was there was less talk about what the game is promising to be later and more sort of just talk about like the experience that people were having in the moment. And if that perception is correct, you guys can tell me right now. But if that perception is correct, then that feels really nice because, I mean, we're still early. We're still working on a lot of stuff. But I think that helps us understand, if that perception is correct, that we're on the right path and when we're not trying to sell you the idea of what we're going to be, but instead kind of showing you what we are and then telling you how we're going to add to that and grow that. Turkin said the feeling was great and great for you even in you're a console gamer. Yeah. Yeah, that's the interesting thing because it really is a very different type of game than probably what you've played before, Turkin. Is the FNF player count up there? Oh man. Oh no, I'm revealing spoilers. Nope, you don't even worry about that. I think it is. It's been up there the whole time. Oh no. Oh geez. Oh geez, Rick. Heh. Heh. Alright, so what else was said here? Brown Butcher said it felt so right. Moving around felt so natural. People were getting immersed. Nice. Pessimistic Squid said, really telling that even during the stress test, people were having so much fun. Zenfar says, you guys show, don't tell. The game definitely has a vibe already. Right on. Jimster40k says, I was pretty blown away by how playable and fun the stress test was, even in such an early state despite the sporadic issues. Cool deal. Turkin says, super atmosphere, love it. Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's something that I find interesting to look for in the videos where people are talking about it. Because, from our point of view, we know the stuff that we want to change still and the stuff that we've got yet to add. Right? Like, there's a lot of stuff that's naturally, I'm saying the obvious, there's a lot of stuff that's in development. And so the idea of like continuing to nail the feel that you guys have and add to it, or you guys saw and then add to it, and then, get the additional content in there, get the, basically all the stuff that is going to keep you in the world longer. So yeah, it's exciting. It definitely feels really good. I've done this type of thing in the past in my career, and it hasn't gone as well. And you know, it's just one of those things where you kind of like bite down and go, all right, well shit, we learned some stuff, let's power through this, you know. But it's kind of tough. It's tough when you do something and you have like a you know. And the funny thing is, in past projects, I've been way further along because we usually don't show the players until it's like alpha or beta or something like that. And when it's that far along and you run into like issues and people aren't really feeling the vibe and all this shit, it's scary because it's like, man, years have been put into this thing. We just revealed it to the players and just off. So it's really nice. Kildor, thank you for the follow. Death Gnome says, I thought movement was a tad slow, but I still missed the train to zone, or guards at the gate in this case. The like base movement speed? Interesting.
Level upper what the ick level upper emperor level upper IKYEAH level upper JAM level upper IK.
Well, right on. Thank you for 25 months, Fanafac. I can't believe the AI hasn't figured out how to describe those emotes better. It's good to see you. Thank you for the support. Let's see. Shameless plug. VGFX had a great stream the other day. Be sure to catch it. What is he paying you? What is VGFX paying you for this marketing? Coming in here marketing VGFX. Yeah, definitely go check it out. Our beautiful bearded wonder, our newest streamer to join the streaming crew, VGFX. Absolutely. That reminds me, I need to make sure that I've got VGFX set up on my Twitch thingy. Dude, I spend so little time improving the Twitch experience. I apologize to you guys. 4,499 followers. Any of you lurkers out there want to make it even 4,500? Come on now. The Crone. 40. That should be 4,500 then. Update Twitch, you son of a bitch. Talking Seagull Lawyer, thank you for the follow as well. Great Sphinx, thank you for the follow. Oh, there we go. 450102. Abago? Am I saying that right? Abago, or is it Abago, or is it Abajo? VGFX paid you $250? Damn. I can't top that. I'm broke. I've got what's left of my candy stash. That's about all I can do. Death Gnome said, yeah, base move speed. Okay. But yeah, definitely watch the streams. Like I said, be sure you're in our Discord. Make sure you're checking the notifications. I think there's a thing you can click. But be sure you're getting notifications because the US dudes. So Goblin, Pattis, Zukin, VGFX. Am I forgetting one of our streamers? Anyways, if you like dope art, we got almost a full handful of artists now that are streaming, and I think it's really cool for you guys to hang out in there and see that process. Great Sphinx, thank you for the follow. Jintaki, thank you for the follow. Is that right, Jintaki? Not gonna lie, VGFX, I fanboy a little when I saw Mythic in your history and loved hearing about your background. Yep. He and I actually we crossed paths and didn't even really know it at a company. shit, man, like 10 years ago at this point. We were both at the same company almost. Gi and Toki. Hey, Dave. What's going on, dude? Yeah, it wound up being really good. I mean, downside is you missed it. Upside is it'll probably be more stable and more fun the next stress test we have. But yeah, it was one of those ones where it's like we had way more turnout than we initially anticipated, but we know that a lot of folks, it was just like folks had stuff going on or folks missed the announcement or whatever. So oh shit, I missed your previous message, Dave. Sorry. Roa said something I wanted to ask. How many people do you plan to require for a high-end rating? Like how many people do you foresee needing to kill the Eminem Vulak? I think that's going to be a topic we'll have to hit on later, because the idea of requiring X number of people for a raid is something that we've kind of got to work through from the perspective of us finalizing our thought on what does multi-group content entail and what is its sort of impact or role within the overall progression scheme. So that's going to be something that we're going to be playing around with. Star Salvager, thank you for the follow. You know, the thing that we've talked about in the past is with anything that we do with the game, we're so focused on making a game that feels like the journey is extremely important. Right, the leveling process, the journey of just sort of leveling up in the world should never take a back seat to any other aspect of the game. Whether, you know, the idea of creating a end game or elder game layer that invalidates the first X number of levels of the game is something that we want to avoid. And then the other aspect of that we need to play with is also the idea of looking at how we ultimately position these things in the world and expose them. And I think different multi-group content is going to feel different depending on where it is in the world and what we feel its role is in the overall setup. Here, let me get the music running. And I do think later on, as we've talked through it a bit more and worked through kind of getting the best alignment between folks on the team on how we want to approach it, then I think it's a really good topic for us to sort of get together and discuss. Yeah, people have already zerged things at lower level in friends and family, right? Like we've had people zerg a sand giant or, you know, zerg even lower level stuff. So, how does multi-group content invalidate the journey? Keg says it augments the journey, in my opinion. Keg, if all of the coolest shit and all of the best items are only attainable through rating, then there tends to be a natural sort of proclivity for people to think that everything prior to rating is not really valid. You want to get through that as quickly as possible because everything you're doing is going to be invalidated by it anyway, right? So, and I'm not going to have the perfect answer for you here at this time. Does that make sense? It's not that the multi-group content invalidates it. It's if the multi-group content is the place to go for all of sort of everything that you want once you hit a certain point in your career, then it's more of a concern of itemization. It's less of a concern of, do we want to include fun, raids and stuff, right? Because trust me, I've got nothing against multi-group content. I spent the first half of my career making it. Let's see, what was it Dave said? Dave said, agree that's most important part of the experience. However, you got to keep them staying after max level 2. Do you plan on keeping them by them playing by making new characters or in-game content? We've discussed a lot more focus on the live operation side and the focus on alts, and as we expand the game, they're providing new options in that sense. Folks that enjoy that will retain those. Folks that strictly want vertical progression, we'll have to see, because that's kind of an arms race that you're always fighting anyway. So I would say that if we, and this may be a controversial statement and the team may disagree with me or whatever, but if we ran into a scenario where we had a small percentage of the people that have basically the leading edge of the player base in terms of level and just min-max the shit out of everything, and we had to choose between continuously making everything go up vertically at the potential detriment of making people who are coming into the game feel more and more isolated, or that the journey is more and more sort of unattainable, and the player base that's not at the leading edge, or that in that smaller percentage, feeling that they're never going to see that content. I think it would be better to look at what best retains the 95% of the player base instead of the 5% of the player base. Twinking has direct negative impact on invalidating the journey as well, Vanifex said. Actually, I agree with Nick's answer a lot on this one, which is, Nick said, I'd argue that twinking augments the journey in a fun way, which enhances replayability. And it makes for interesting experiences for other people that aren't twinked as well. I think twinking is a lot of fun. It's like this, it's this idea of, taking that power that you have gained and knowledge that you have gained and kind of like hot rodding out a new character. Yeah. And people like the Crone said, twinking can be fun as long as you're not ruining someone else's experience. I've got to say the vast majority of my experience running into twinks has been positive. That could be an interesting clip depending on how it was clipped and where it's put. But I would say the vast majority of my experience running into people that are either playing on twinked alts or power leveling their alts, or twinking their alts with like essentially power leveling with like out of group higher level characters and stuff. It's made some of the times that when Nick hasn't been available, or when we when we were both playing together but there wasn't a full group, we've run into a lot of people that were basically twinking and stuff, and or power leveling their tunes, and we had great sessions on P99. Nick, did you hear my earlier sort of like responses with regards to like rating and stuff like that? Was that diplomatic enough? You had a really good set of responses in Discord on this topic as well. Cool. Guys, on some of these questions, also be sure to use the search function in Discord. We're pretty active in Discord, and I know some folks more than others, but like folks that are working and stuff during stream time, like Nick, are pretty great about answering questions. So use the search function in there. Dave said, do you have any fourth wall breaking features like LFG lists, shared banks, etc., or are you keeping it all within some sort of EQ framework? Stuff that, like, we were talking about interface and stuff earlier today. Would like to not break the fourth wall as much as possible, and honestly just keep the experiences sort of in the vibe and moody and clean as possible. I think there's some functionality that we can do that provides good support for in decent quality of life without kind of negating the value of social interaction and things like that. So something like an LFG tool, it's really going to come down to like how we build it and how it feels. How do you do as a dev combat the fact that common high level drops render lower level content and quests moot? Vanifag, I don't think it's something that needs to be combated. Depending on the pace of progression and depending on sort of the enjoyment of that content on the way up, and depending on the availability of higher end stuff, those things all kind of play together to make it so that in some cases, the fact that it renders lower level content and quests, you know, maybe not moot, but weaker, that's great. Like that sense of growing in power is wonderful, or getting help from people is in having them help you cheese through content. I think that's fun. On the flip side, if there's just a very easy sort of hop to best in slot that just makes everything else not worth playing, and there's only 3 zones that you ever want to be in because everything else just kind of sucks, relatively speaking, then we've got to really look at the balance and see what we screwed up. But this idea of sort of always kind of isolating you to your power level or whatever is not, it's not fun. It's kind of like how scaling content is, in my opinion, not really fun either, mostly, right? Like I want to feel powerful relative to shit. I like going back in with either a higher level character and finishing low level quests, right? And stuff that maybe I would have needed a group for before. I can go back and solo pieces of it, especially if it allows me to sit on my ass for 8 hours at a camp. You know, like I finally did the Paw of Apollo on my cleric on Aradune back in the day. And I sat there like all week waiting for Gynox. Oh, those of you that are asking about weather earlier. Sat in there all week, you know, in Befallen, right? Waiting on Gynox, and that was a shitload of fun for me. And I knew I wasn't going to die. I was overpowered for it, but I wanted to do the quest because I'd never done it before. So I think the lack of systems forcing you to play a certain way is part of the charm of, you know, the early MMOs. Before we're like, oh no, sorry, you need to move to the next ride in the theme park. Phenomenal. Thank you for both the follow and the prime. That is very cool of you. Ali said earlier, on this other side of it as well, I'm a fan of hardcore, solo self-found ladders. Don't know if it's something that we'll end up doing, but an optional self-restriction system with seasonal flavor and ladders is a fun concept, as long as it's fully optional. Yeah, and I think we've got a few fans of that on the team. Dargit said, some twinking can reduce the incentive to group. That's the only thing I'd really be concerned with. If you start seeing more experienced gamers leveling alts and not mixing with the rest of the less experienced population. Maybe I'm just speaking from a, you know, like a unique situation. I haven't run into that very much. I've run into so many more situations where I've had a good time, like playing with people that were just on their completely, you know, why did I almost say twerked out? Completely twinked out. They were twerking. There was a lot of twerking and unrest one day. Great time. Nick said, wait, we're talking about alts, giving alts good items. I was thinking of something else. Yeah, sorry, we had it was the wrong twinking. Shit. And the Crone said, for sure, I love twinking characters and EQs later expansions. Very rarely have I seen twinks monopolize zones or multiple camps to where it becomes toxic. Yeah, I've just had. I know there's a lot of concern about like bad behavior. Starge Salvager, did I say thank you for the follow a while back? Anyways, if I didn't, thank you. I know there's a lot of concern about like shitty behavior, but I've seen it, and I've seen it in other games, but I've got to say, now don't get me wrong, I haven't been part of like the high-end raid scene on like a P99. Back in the early 2000s, I was in, our servers like main guild, and there was a little bit of shit talk or whatever. But even then it wasn't that horrible. But like I've seen such a bias towards decent behavior and kind of non-shitheadiness in like EQ TLPs, P99 than I have like people just, a lot of the things that get brought up about like, I mean, there is, more recently, there's like a little DPS race time. Nick and I, were at like Ancient Cyclops or whatever. And it's like, but even that wasn't like, it wasn't too bad. I mean, I've been a GM. Don't get me wrong. I've been a GM, but so I've seen a lot of like training and bullshit, but I would say it's not as much as you'd expect. Brown Butcher, I'm sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I've got Ambrosia of the Gods, that was gifted to me by one of the other team members. And do I got some Drink of the Gods here? Nectar of the Gods, yes. I'm drinking and eating god food. Where did the term twink come from? If somebody knows like true MMO etymology, you can correct me. I swear there's a more innocent origin for it. I swear. I thought it was like, twink came because the term came from like twinkling because you had all this fancy stuff on. I'm pretty sure that was it. It's pretty innocent. It's a pretty innocent term. Twinking offers such emergent gameplay, Salacious says. I love that you guys are recognizing the factors in EQ that led to all that dynamism. I screw this word up every time. Dynamism? Cool. English is very hard sometimes for me. Riker said, that's what I remember hearing. Some mud had twinkling armor. There we go. Let's just go with that. Quicksand said, so excited to twink alts, and in that vein, hopefully also buff lower levels when I'm back in town. Yep. I mean, a lot of people just enjoy that kind of gameplay. It was one of the things that made me happiest about finally playing a cleric to a higher level was the fact that I could res people and go hang out at lower end zones, and do nice things for folks. Benefax says, let me be clear! Exclamation mark. I do not want to stop twinking, Sean Lord. I do not want to limit it. I just want lower level quests and content to feel worth it to do at that level. The incremental XR quest was a great move for this. Yep, cool. You're a perpetual altaholic who loves to play solo self-found. Right on. And, I mean, we were talking about this today. Who knows what we'll actually wind up doing, and who knows if everybody in the team agrees with the philosophy. But one of the ideas is like this idea of like over time, having just a nice solid core game, that's reinforcing the world, and the world feels deeper and deeper. I think if we've got a game that we're really enjoying and everybody's enjoying just the journey through that, if we're doing things where we're finally adding Zukin's Lizard Man and maybe his friend a turtle, and eventually Zukin's Shark Man, and all this, you know, we're just putting these new options. We've got some new race class combos that unlock through certain things, and you know, there's just adding in this different ways of playing the game. I do feel for a lot of people that's going to be it's going to be a fair retention mechanism, right? I think if you look at something like a P99, they've got a cap there that we're all aware of, and it doesn't, for me, it doesn't remove anything from the desire to like hop in there or whatever. It would be nice to have a new one still, but you know, and so it kind of shows with even sort of that limit, the vertical limitation. There's a lot of power there if you enjoy the base experience, and then on top of that, I think there's a lot of stuff to do with the live game and live events, and there being some new content that's growing on top of that, but it's not the sole focus. I think there's a lot that can be done to actually do pretty good retention wise. The first thing is the first challenge and the hardest part is to make the first years of the game something that people even really give a shit about. The Cuban says P99 is the concentration of all the sweaty jerks from all the live. How? I would not consider myself sweaty or a jerk, and I enjoyed my experience on there. Honestly, if I wasn't so bad at time management, I would love to just be in there playing. Oh, you mean the in-game raiders? Oh, well, now you're talking about Nick, which is also not nice. Love the test, by the way. Ray Motion, thank you very much. Not the regular folk. Oh, they're regular people too. How dare you sweat shame them? Zoidberg says, I don't get into the in-game content often, so I rarely see the shitty stuff that happens. Right? Salacious said, I've never had a problem with twinks. When people sometimes blame a particular twink for bad behavior, you have to ask yourself if that player would be toxic regardless of being twinked, and the answer was always yes. Not every twink is an asshole, but every asshole is an asshole. Are you guys adding a twerking emote to your game? Is that why it's on your brain? Finalis, we might add a twerking emote to the game, but it's going to be only accessible to GMs, and only when we're in our special GM zone having our twerking slumber parties will it be used. The Crone, come back with that one. Come back with that one, or hit us up in Discord. It'll be easy for us to handle in Discord with regards to super future discussion. Thoughts on fresh start servers or cycles? Vanifac asks. I think Ali, we have been building with TLP approach in mind, right? Honestly, I think it's a wonderful approach. I mean, you know, the TLPs, depending on, you know, rule set or whatever, but the TLPs have been fantastic. it's so much fun going into an EQ TLP. The idea of like a new P99 green is like, that would be so awesome, right? So it shows the power of that. Sean, on a scale of 9 to 10, how great did VGFX chainmail set look he was doing earlier this week? I've just randomly been thinking about how good it looked in green for a ranger since seeing it. I am only about 1/3 of the way through his stream, and no matter how good it looks, I'm gonna say it was a 7 out of 10. Just to like get his fire stoked, get him be like, what did he say? 7 out of 10. That son of a bitch. And like, I know VGFX, he'll knock out a few push-ups and get kind of like, he'll get a little worked up, and then he'll come back and he'll shoot for that 11. Like, I'll show them. Yeah, so solid 7. Solid 7. Can improve. Rocky montage. He's gonna go into the full Rambo cartoon montage. Can we find that on YouTube? I swear Rambo had a cartoon and there was a montage. Not sure if you guys have answered this, but will you allow people to box multiple accounts if you pay sub for all of them? Just like we could in EQ. Ray Motion, hop into Discord, hit search on that one, and there's a lot of discussion on that. Be More Gaming says, I've played on P99 off and on for 7 years, and 98% of my experience has been great. The other 2% has been impacted by some of the most toxic people I've ever met. But they're everywhere. So I think, honestly, relative to the rest of being online, you've probably had an exceptionally good online experience relative to like being on Reddit or Twitter, right? So Be More Gaming, what you've described on P99 actually makes it sound like it's a freaking utopia compared to Twitter. Imagine the ratio if all you played was COD, right? I mean, jeez. Oh my gosh. I think the last shooter I hopped into was like, was it the Hell game, Hell something loose? Hell Let Loose, yes. And so I hopped in there with a buddy, and it's been so long since I've been in voice chat with randos. I was just like, oh shit, I want to go back to I want to go back to old ass MMO. It was so, I was not ready for like the random shrieking and just dipshittery. So honestly, when we talk about like, you know, EQ or whatever toxicity, I'm like, yeah, it was, I was like, oh, it's been a while. Which was weird because like when I hopped into a few Tarkov discords a couple years back, they were always like the nicest dudes, would obviously just murder you instantly in game without any remorse, but super nice in Discord. Not that nice on Instagram though. I noticed the Tarkov fans on Instagram are not as happy with Nikita and stuff. So, fix game. Why show image when game not fixed? I feel like I missed something. Benefax said, "Oh man, Green Launch was chaos. LOL, so much fun. Never experienced it, so I am so hoping that I get to experience that. Hey, my dear American streaming teammates, Nick, I tried and he he laughed at me. I pinged Nilbog and he was like, yeah, whatever. he didn't give a shit. He was like, what, who are you again? I even tried to drop your name. I was like, you know Nick too, right? Like, come on. Will all tests in the future be for the public so I can help out testing? I've decided I want to dedicate my free time to help this project out in any way I can. Yeah, our tests will be public tests. I mean, we'll have some sneaky stuff where we're working with, like we're doing with friends and family. We'll probably have something where we're like, hey, we want 5 people that blah 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 do the shit or whatever. But honestly, we want our test to be as public as possible and public, and we're not charging you and all that stuff. Sparrow, hello. I think I watched a video of you. I'm pretty sure I did. The spelling looks familiar. Lifewater said, I'm in a top rating guild on P99 Blue, and outside the rating scene, it's overwhelmingly positive. In fact, I've played for 3+ years. I've only met one nasty person. The old school community is generally great people. I've met so many rad people on Green. Just so many cool people. And it's cool too because I'll run into... I met an enchanter. I think I've told this story a few times. It's not the only person I met, but I met this enchanter one time, in Unrest, and there were only a couple of us because I play odd hours being in Germany. He's just in there and one of starting conversation is like, oh yeah, I've never played EQ before. It's 22 years old or something like that. It was just I heard about the game and it seemed really interesting concept and all this shit. And I was like, oh man, this is so cool. I was immediately I wanted to know everything about this person because I do think if you make this kind of game correctly, there are a lot of people that want this type of new experience. There really is. Everybody thinks it's just being made for people that have played this type of experience before, and I don't believe that. So, yeah. Sparrow said, "Aw, thanks. Yes, I did make one." Brown Butcher said, "Sparrow's video is A+ top tier." Yeah, we found it. We found it to be really, really touching. It was a really awesome video. Thank you so much. Always fascinated by people that are playing EQ for the first time. I think it's it's a thing. I just think there are a lot of people out there. There are a ton of people in the total addressable market. I mean, there's an insane number of people out there playing online games, playing games that have a sense of place, playing online games. You won't believe the association, but I got into EverQuest because I was playing Quake. Right? I was playing a lot of Quake, a lot of Quake multiplayer and ladder matches and stuff. And at some point while playing Quake, it dawned on me, I'm like, oh, this is really cool. But you know what would be fun? I wonder if there's a 3D RPG that I can play with other people. Because there's a realization I'm playing with other people. I'm playing multiplayer. And I was really looking for something that had a sense of being a virtual world. That had a sense of place. And that's how I landed in EQ. Right? And I think, when people are like, oh, young people aren't going to like this type of game or whatever, I just don't agree because there is no demographic that's a monolith. Right? Within every demographic, there are groups of people, sometimes big, sometimes small, that are just looking for something different. Looking for something that's, that's going to provide them with a certain type of challenge, or provide them with a certain type of atmosphere, or allows them to tell their friends at school, oh, I'm playing this thing you've never heard of before, right? Like, how many of us got into punk rock because of that, right? Like, oh, you've never heard of this band before. I just got this cassette tape that's called, right? Like, and that exists out there, and the total addressable market's so big. So the most important thing is to establish a clear identity for your product. Like, this is clearly what we're doing different from other games. And so, yeah, we'll see. I mean, I could be full of shit. We'll see. I mean, for the team's sake, I hope that we're onto something, but yeah, so Be More Gaming, that's going to be one of the challenge, right? Like, how do we do something that's got the depth and detail and stuff, but maybe doesn't feel as clunky? So, excuse me. Boomer shooters are having a renaissance in the indie scene. Why not classic MMOs? Yeah, what other example were we just talking about today? Oh, one that I actually can't share. Shit. UK Rad said, I feel bad for the people who never got to experience the initial EQ tutorial, the offline tutorial that came with the original boxing Kunark. You should talk to Zukin about that. I think he's got some thoughts on that topic. Monsters and Memories, the OSR of the MMO scene. Nice. And I wonder if there's some OSR of people that maybe have never played an online game that may hop in as well at some point. Dargit says, I was just talking to a younger employee literally this afternoon and said he's a big MMO player but wants something more social and immersive, not just a matchmaking lobby. Yep, not a kid, but not an old timer, probably in his 20s. Yeah. Hey, what's up, John? DDJ7? I think that would be rad. I think that would be super cool. I hope people let their kids play. Now, we'll have all sorts of disclaimers and stuff on the game that says it's not for kids. And if they ever read something that I wrote that's inappropriate, then, just give them a little earmuffs. But Gnarl said, judging by Super Bits and Bob's reaction to the playtest, I'd say you're on the right track. There have been a number of great reactions in videos. Like I was saying earlier, Sparrow did a wonderful video. Super Bits and Bob. There's just a lot. We've been trying to grab them and put them into our... we've got a channel for them in Slack as we find them. So it's really, really nice to see. My wonderful neighbor, my garden neighbor, has made a video as well. Lots of good videos. So, and I love how many people are like, speaking to the vibe. So, Cam Bam said, semi-lurking for work. Just wanted to say I had a blast last weekend. Well, thank you. We loved it. I mean, honestly, guys, it's gonna be hard. It's gonna be almost as hard for us to wait for the next playtest as it will be you guys. But again, We need to focus, get stuff improving, etc. But it would be nice to not make it a super rare thing. I mean, I'll always argue to not leave you guys in there too long so you don't get bored, but that's just me. Is there anything that you and the team have discussed about the game that you haven't told us, but can't wait to share? Maybe a future or creature model? Yeah, we've got an entire internal wiki full. We've got a ton. We've got a ton. And it's just going to keep adding up behind the scenes. So... All right, where are we at? So, is anybody on the team? Are you guys going to be streaming? Doggett said, "I'm really excited to see more character races get polished and/or built." Yep. Do you ever wish you could be one of us watching this from the other side of the fence? One thing about creating a game is nothing will be secret to you, so you can never truly enjoy it from player's perspective. Not in the same way, no, but there is a thing that happens when you expand the team a bit, which is it's already possible, you know, to run into something I haven't implemented and be like, oh, this is cool, right? We kind of have that experience with the stuff that's, you know, being created like on the environment side where it's like, oh wow, I didn't know this was here. That type of thing. So like finding out there's a follow command. Yeah, exactly. It's like, what? I thought we didn't have that. I thought we explicitly didn't have that. On the tech side or on the like commands side and stuff like that, I'm constantly discovering new shit that everybody's known for 6 months. But I'm also like the character in Memento. You know what I mean? Like, hold on one sec.
Any question?
Yeah. I'm like the dude from Memento. I've got to write my name on my chest before bed so when I wake up I know who I am in the morning. So it's never a shock when there's something in game that I'm like, oh wait, we already have this? I assume there will be a vast variety of emotes. Didn't seem like that feature was added yet for the last test. Nope. They have not been added yet. Correct. But yeah, we do want to have a variety of emotes. This game makes me want to download P99, see if there's if it can scratch the itch for a bit. You should do it. You should do it. And there's an EQ TLP coming up. I think one big thing that would draw a lot of younger people to a game like this is more interactive combat, not necessarily button mashing while combat, but avoiding the EQ design by hitting a skill or space every 10 seconds could benefit. I think that's making an assumption about all young people, though. I think young people that are looking for more interactive combat have a lot of options, and they'll go to that. I think young people that are like me, uncoordinated, barely paying attention to what's going on the screen, probably watching some like bizarre ass conspiracy theory documentary about how the aliens created an underground tunnel to whatever. Like that's our target audience more. Like the kids are like, oh man, you know, like I want faster paced combat. They've got those options. I think it's more like, I think it's the kids that are kind of like, you know what I mean? Like the ones that are kind of like, oh, I kind of want to be in here and I don't want to suck too bad, right? Like this game, maybe I won't suck as bad, right? So subspace tunnel, not underground tunnel. Watch it again, Sean. Yeesh. No, John, that is not true. I don't know if you're aware, but the governments of the world have been building deep underground bunkers, dumbs, and I think it's probably because of the aliens. Okay? And also, if the Earth's hollow and also flat, then the Earth's a box. And what's in the box? What's in the box, John? What's in the box? Aliens. Are you talking gray aliens or lizard? One is subspace. I'm obviously lizard. And let's not say that too loud because Zuckerberg will hear us. I don't want to piss anybody off. Jezebeli's like, you're streaming. Thank you, sir. My day has now been made. But now you're going to make me feel guilty if I'm not streaming for like another hour. Jezebeli, how dare you do this to me? The pressure. Will charm pets be nerfed to account for balance, or will it be a risk reward? Powerful pet has powerful consequences. That question's all Nick. All your pet related frustrations, I'm just gonna be like, here you go, Nick. Hit him up in Discord. Hit him up in Discord. Be like, Nick, I need to talk to you about nerfing my pet already. Be more gaming. The goal is to have more impactful abilities, more situational abilities. And we'll definitely be iterating on that front. But it's not going to be like, you know what I mean? What am I looking for? What am I trying to bring up here? Sparrow, thank you for the follow. Yep, we definitely got ideas. Be more. I forget, did I ask you before, is your name Be More Gaming? Are you from Bodymore? Yes, sir. I spent some time up that way back in the day. Great seafood. Oh my gosh, man. A box full of crabs? Oof. what I would do right now. Box full of crabs covered in Old Bay. Few PBRs. Man. 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 Making me hungry. Yeah, sorry guys. I don't know what time it is. I don't know what time it is around where you're at, but yeah, it's 10:10 p.m. my time, and I just made myself hungry for some seafood. J-Red Bingo. I'm not going to be able to answer that adequately at this stage in the stream tonight. Come back again, and we'll get into that in more detail. Hit on it a bit in different VODs, so definitely. Excuse me. Definitely check out our YouTube, guys, if you haven't already. We've got like 330, 340 videos. So if you start watching now, you could probably catch up in like 6 months and have a pretty good understanding of a lot of what you guys have been asking about. Zeitgeist 9000, you're very welcome for the awesome playtest. Thank you, all of you, for being awesome and actually being there. Holy shit. We thought for sure when we saw 100 or when we saw 1,000 people, like when we saw 500 people click the like button in Discord saying they're going to be there, we're like, oh man. And then when we saw 1,000, it was like, oh man. And then when we saw that like go over 1,000, we're like, well, but you know, only like half of these people are going to show up. Everybody's just clicking the button. They're bullshitting. They're not going to show up. And yeah. And then when we saw the number of people that registered, it was like that Friday, we're just kind of sitting there going, okay. Like when we went over like 2,000 registered, it got real. What was peak population? I think around 1,000 peak, and that was when folks were like going in, basically slamming into that first zone. Now I thought I saw more in one zone than like 650, but I thought Ali said that we had 650 in one zone, but or only had 650 in one zone. Now we had like Ali actually posted this stuff in Discord. I think he posted some info in Discord. Let me see. It is in the if you go to the where was it? I thought it was in a public channel, but I'm trying to find it in a public channel. He said it earlier. If it's not, if you can't find it in Discord, we'll make it appear. Fielder EQ said there were over 770 in the zone at one point. Yeah, so we are like our total number of users was like, I think we had like 2,200 people come through that weekend. Glad we surprised you guys with with how many that showed up. I'll be there anytime I get a chance. Right on. Yeah, it was definitely near sorry, my brain wandered off somewhere else. It was definitely like a insane surprise and just blown away that it worked out as well as it did. I'm scrolling for something. Yeah, once it got posted in Pantheon Discord, we kind of floated over. Right on. Isan, I saw your comment up there as well. It said South Kakalaka has good crabs too, but let's discuss lobster. I know, man. I think Maine might be a spot that Jasmine and I need to go on vacation and kind of scope out the scene and see if that might be a place we want to live. Did I get bit by something? So yeah, I'm such a big fan of like outdoors and seafood. It seems like you guys have it going on. I like that part of the world, you know, Maine, New Hampshire, that kind of thing. I think Jasmine's been to like New Hampshire or Vermont, and I haven't though, which is weird because she's German. Crabbing's a lot of fun too. Yeah, I remember when I was a little tiny kid, my dad would go crabbing in Louisiana. Will camping and named be allowed? And if so, will it be regulated? It will be allowed. We've got some things that I think we've discussed in order to encourage good behavior. And you know, we're going to keep our server culture friendly. They allow Germans in New England? That's rad. Yeah, it's odd. It was very strange. We weren't expecting that. The Cuban says, curious to see what's in store for these trade skills like wagoneering. So are we. Oh, man. Gonna be fun, though. It'll be fun. You're very welcome, Cypher. Hey, Crescents. When crabbing once on a trip to Oregon, had a blast. Man, I'm a fan of any of that freaky looking stuff that comes out of the water. Jasmine, not so much, but I am definitely down. Mm-hmm. I'm scrolling through some stuff right now. Salacious, nope and nope. No billionaire sugar daddies yet. Oh, John, don't be so hard on yourself. Yeah, the Cuban and we're not going to be doing it. Yeah. So I tell you what, guys, it's about 10:20 my time. I promised Jasmine, even though she did come in here and steal my candy, promised Jasmine I'd hang out with her a little bit before bed tonight, and you know, we don't stay up super late. We're old folks. So I'm gonna wrap up here, but I'm going to raid someone if you want to see some P99 green. We've been talking about EQ and P99 and stuff tonight a fair bit, so I'm gonna pop over there and you can watch some solo self-found and see how that goes. And Darius 2479, thank you for the follow. I will be back Tuesday. I might actually be doing some work instead of just hanging out with you guys. So yeah, Ray Motion, thank you for the follow. Those of you that just came in at the tail end, sorry about that. Those of you that are new here, here's our website. If you haven't seen it before and you like EQ and you don't kind of know my background, here's a link to the Loving Robot YouTube. I've got like 40 videos, about 60 hours, I think, at least. of or 30 some videos, 60 hours of interviews with EverQuest folks. So take a look at that. It might interest you. Turkan, see you. Tschüss. Vielleicht sehen wir uns dieses Wochenende. Scheiße, Mann. Okay, bis bald. Chat Solo, see you. Sparrow, thanks again. See you. Salacious, goodbye. Quixana, see you. Go get crab cakes. I just want the actual crab, DDJ. See ya. Be more. See you, buddy. Orange Quake, goodbye. The Crone, good talking to you. See you. Cuban, see you. Esan, thank you, brother man. I will see you Tuesday or in Discord. Bye, Brown Butcher. Jezebelly, bye. UK Rads, bye. Chinny D, see you. Pessimistic Squid, you should be more optimistic. Have a great weekend. Shmonite, oh man, on a long flight, we've got VODs. We got plenty of VODs. Check out the VODs. Come on, Shmonite. Dig into an old VOD. Sonntag vielleicht, ja. John, see you, buddy. Ali, see you. Ali, I'm going to shoot you a message right after this. Hello. I never say that word right. Atelier. Which makes me, I can't wait for, what is it? Chocolate Atelier? Is that it? I don't know. Anyways, I'm saying it wrong. But that game looks cool. K Valman, see you. Tame Nova, goodbye. Warlen, see you. If someone wants to be optimistic octopus, we can have a balance. Yeah. Next time you're around, Hollow, you can tell me how to pronounce it phonetically. Cypher, have a great one. I will see you. You know what? All right, let's do this raid now. Oops. Hit pause. Let's see. How do I work internet? Okay, raid. Here we go. All right, we're doing this now. Watch some good gameplay. Put some pressure on this person. Tell him not to screw up. I'm raiding now. Everybody have a wonderful weekend.